Hi there. I go by the name of Paul Dominus, aka Dominus. Dominus, yeah. Just call me Dominus. Or the Dom. Um, I love music, man. It's always been about music to me, and it literally revolves around my life. My whole life depends on music. I believe so, anyway. When I'm down, music. When I'm happy, music. When I'm angry, music. See, so it's everywhere. I can't escape it. It's like my drug, you know. And growing up, I had siblings that were really loved rap and R&B. I had an older sister who really loved old school R&B, and I had my older brother who loved like the real raw rap. So both of them just kind of fused into me, and they kind of merged into me, and that's how I was able to appreciate both worlds. And you know, and at the same time, I was falling in love with jazz because I listened to the radio. Gabs FM in particular, you know, they play a lot of jazz, so that's where I got a lot of the jazz influence from. By the way, I listened to them a lot, and TV as well. You know, used to release a lot of good stuff back then. You know, favorite MCs back then were like, you know, in my era, you know, before I started appreciating the Biggie and the Pops, and, you know, but in my era, when I was growing up, the rappers that influenced me the most was definitely 50 Cent.
Talking in the pins in the street about me, some Jake. Trying to watch every move I make, cause my D's will make fiends do the uptown shake. I'm a pro, I'm far from an amateur. Holding more keys than your fucking janitor. They say God bless the child like a hold his own. You pay cops to hold you down, I just hold the chrome. Every breath I take, every step I take, every move I make, I got a Ruger on my hip. You ain't gotta like or love me, but you gon' respect me. You need a fifth and 2 clips to try and check me. 12 in the afternoon, we can start the clatting. Look, homie, I'm down for that daytime action.
He just had that thing about him. He was just like the alpha male, you know. He would pop up, and, you know, no one could bring him down. He had beefs with so many rappers, and none of them could bring him down. You know what I'm saying? So that takes a lot of man, and, you know, it takes a lot of courage. It shows no fear as well. Like, you know, fear doesn't, you know, limit him, and that's a very important lesson. You know, fear shouldn't limit you. I know other rappers like Ludacris.
I'm breaking the rules and shake fools while I'm taking the. Tell me who's your man and how do you smoke so good? You's a superstar, boy. Why you still up in the hood? What in the world is in that bag? What you got in that bag?
Yeah, Common.
In Chicago, raised on Bladder Rock, talking Cats knock my tape like I'm as fresh as fruits. You pussy MC, it's you I rebuke. Repent.
Kanye West, definitely.
Coming home again. Do you think about me now and then? Yeah. Do you think about me now and then? Cause I'm coming home again.
Jay-Z, Nas. You know, while growing up, I used to listen to them too. You know, they used to release records back then. Even the South, man, you know, we had, also Outkast as well. I used to listen to a lot of Outkast. I remember I had the album, Speaker Box, The Love Below. I had that album, like the actual record, and at that time it was like a masterpiece. Like, whoa, what is this? Although I didn't understand Andre 3000 at the time, but as growing up, I listened to the album, I'm like, yeah, it makes a lot of sense now. Definitely, yeah, niggas like Ludacris, I already mentioned those, and a whole lot of other rappers. You know, I can't name all of them. You know, don't blame me. The number one, the first time I got to actually experience making, or at least altering music of some sort in some way, was when my brother-in-law came through with Virtual DJ and on his laptop. And at that time I was like, Virtual DJ? You mean to tell me you could be a DJ on the computer? This was around like 2007, 2008. I was still very young. So, I wasn't really keen on these things. But I got the software, and first time I tried it, I was completely lost. I had no idea what was even gonna happen. No idea whatsoever. I was just like completely lost. I was like, wow, what is this? I remember first time I started mixing on Virtual DJ. I was mostly mixing house music. Back then I was really into electro and house, African house and all that. So it all felt it all felt great to me. It was like just this new experience. I was like, what is all this? So I'd mix that, every day after school, come home, straight to Virtual DJ, try to figure it out. It was hard, man. I would suck. I remember my first mix. I was so proud. I was like, wow, I did it. I got my first mix. But to be honest, it was trash as fuck. I mean, it was not even a good mix. It was just all over the place. But the pride in having something, or it's a feeling that you made something, it was new to me. That was the day I realized I could do this. I could really do this. Then Fruity Loops. Fruity Loops was the guy that really changed everything. As soon as I got Fruity Loops way back then, probably like 2003. My older brother had Fruity Loops, not me, by the way. But yeah, he's the one that had Fruity Loops from back in the day. And back then, all I knew was what kick, snare had. I forgot the last one, but that's all I pretty knew, those three elements. And I could just make like a simple boom, 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 It's the simple type of beat. Then that's all I could really do, and I really sucked. I really hated the fact that, because when I look at the demos, they would be so complex, so many patterns. Everything is just like, whoa, I have no idea what's going on. It was a big mess, but eventually I studied it, I looked at it, I saw how these demos were working. I put patterns here, there. Started looking at it. I also got a help from a dude called Itchy Fingers. He's not around anymore, but yeah, he's the guy that really helped me out. He's the one that actually showed me how to put a track together and render a song and everything. Those are very important factors when you're learning FL. You need to know how to at least render a song. So I learned how to do that, and as I kept progressing, just kept learning slowly, year by year. At first my beats sucked, honestly, but I started around properly making beats around 2008, mostly with house, because house is pretty simple. It's just boom, 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 boom. It's a repetitive kick, and what you can interchange is like the hats and the snares maybe. But the kick was simple, just boom, boom, boom. So that's what I liked about house, It was great for beginner stage. It was very simplex, it wasn't too complex. And I like that. And that's what made me grow, pretty much. And then 2010, that was the year I was like, yeah, man. Because at first I heard Wiz Khalifa. Wiz Khalifa's Cushion Orange Juice. Yeah, Cushion Orange Juice. Man, that mixtape changed everything.
Yeah. So Cushion Orange Juice. Better tell you somebody for your whole life.
It changed everything, from the beats to the way he rapped. Changed everything, trust me, because I was making electro, but then when I heard Cushion OJ, I was like, fuck this, man. Why am I wasting my time with electro? There's already Deadmau5, there's already John Wallback, all these European, house DJ electro. It was already DJ Fresh, who I really looked up to. I wanted to be just like him, but sometimes you just gotta transcend from that. And yeah, I felt like maybe I could be bigger than that. So I tried going into hip hop. And it was also on the side, Lil Wayne, Drake, Young Money, You know, so they really influenced a lot in terms of my hip hop's evolution stuff. Because when I started making hip hop, I was trying to be like them. I was trying to make their kind of beats. I didn't really have a style or develop a style then. But I knew that, I wanted to make hip hop. I just didn't know what my sound was. But yeah, and as I was making beats, you know, I was getting better. I still kind of sucked, but I was getting better and better and better and better. The year I'd say I finally got there was probably 2013. 3 years afterwards, because it took me 3 years to finally discover my sound, discover my actual sound. So that's what took the time. Besides that, everything else was smooth. 2013, that's when I started making soul beats or jazz beats. Everything from there was just what I am today. 2013 marks the year. And everything before that was a hassle, you know. I tried bothering niggas for studio time, you know. It wasn't a nice experience, but you know, with time, eventually I found myself, you know, that's all that matters. I started even going to sampling, you know. At first I was more about making my own sound, and then I realized maybe that wasn't enough. Sometimes I needed to outsource to reach my optimum. I needed to outsource in order to reach my optimum. So that's when I started sampling. And when I did that, it all started making sense. It just all came together, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm gonna start doing this for real now. And the rapping was on the side. I'm a producer first and a rapper last. So don't forget that. Producer first, rapper last. I'm not a rapper first. And that's pretty much like a brief story of how I came up. But my influences are definitely old school influences. As time went on, yeah, I was listening to niggas like Chief Keef. I was influenced by the trap wave, but I just couldn't see myself making trap. So I stuck to the soul beats because I saw longevity in the soul beats too. And I also saw the emotion that people would feel when they listen to my beats, you know. When I play the trap beats, they just be like, yeah, this is hot, man, this is hot, you know. It's hot, you know. It was kind of, you could never really tell if it was genuine. But when I made a soul beat, so it was like, man, this is it. This is music.